Well, Dog Lake's been on the schedule on the tour for years and years. It's mainly a shallow fishery. There is some deep water. Typically, it's large, actually 99% of the time, it's largemouth to win or do well. I think there was one tournament where a 19-pound bag of smallmouth came in second, but for the most part, it's largemouth dominated. And, you know, the fishery is great. It's 4 lakes, 5 lakes connected together. There's dirty water, clear water. It gets an algae bloom, so in some areas it's almost like you're fishing in paint. But sometimes those fish are in there because that dirty water only occupies kind of the top few feet of the water column. So you get below that and you can get into some clear water and some good fish. The last tournament I fished on Dog Lake was the Classic, I believe 2 or 3 years ago. And we had high hopes going into it. I didn't have fantastic practice, but Nigel did. He had located some big fish, and we felt if everything went right, we can do, you know, a high teen, maybe a 20-pound bag. But, you know, our shallow fish got small. We only had one really good deep area, and those fish seemed to move or get caught. So we ended up struggling. But Dog's always been like that for us. I don't think I've actually caught cast a check out there. So maybe this is the year.
So what do you expect from Dog this year? How do you expect it to finish?
Well, we're late summer, so the fish are going to be well set up. I expect the deep milfoil to be well, you know, that 6, 7, 8, 9 foot milfoil. There's going to be some shallow fish. From the people I've been talking to, most of the shallow fish are smallish, and that's my experience too. But every once in a while, those shallows will pump out a giant. Well, I've been watching the weather. I'm going to go practice a couple days before the tournament, and I know the day before, on the Friday before the tournament, we're going to get about 1 inch of rain. So that could change things up. You're going to get water coming into the lake, fresh water in certain areas. It could also dissipate some of that algae and stuff on the surface. So it could change a lot between like Thursday and Saturday. There's many legendary teams on Dog Lake. You got to start with Lenny and Jeff. They're phenomenal out there, consistently in the top 3, if not winning. There's a couple other local Kingston teams that do well. You got to keep an eye on Jack and Steve. They're leading team of the year. They're on a heater, and they've done well out there before. Dave and Doug, they do well everywhere, and they're consistent out there, in that they, from talking to them, they tell me they just junk around and they do well, and so I look for them to be up in the top 10 also. Historically, this time of year, you don't see many of the 20-pound bags this time of year, but definitely 19s. Top 10, you usually need about a 16-pound bag, and like I said, 90% of that's going to be largemouth. I have seen the odd 5-pound smallmouth out there, but I've never got them to go in the tournament, so I'm looking at 19 and a half pound bag of largemouth to win.